Bang on 7:30, it's Wednesday morning. You're very welcome along to OTB AM. It's Ger Gilroy and Owen Sheehan with you all the way through until 10 this morning. We'd love to hear from you. 0879 180 180 is the number. And Owen, it's Paul Pogba's world and we just live in it.
It seems that way. Manchester United top of the table. We warned of this happening last week, that this new spectrum of misery for non-Manchester United fans could actually come true. They got anything against Burnley and they went and got the full 3 points, where we're now entering into a phase where it's going to be either themselves or Liverpool, who probably end this weekend on top of the table. There is going to be a proper head-to-head between them over the next few weeks at the very least. And then more than likely Manchester City will nip on through to actually win the Premier League title. But Paul Pogba, yeah, really good yesterday. It's hard to know sometimes what actually has happened here, whether Manchester United have got much better because Paul Pogba has pulled up his socks and got the best out of himself, or Paul Pogba is actually just playing really well because he realises he's now playing in a really good team. And maybe this is part of the mystery of Pogba over the last few years, where people have been like, why did he get such good form out of himself while playing for France in that World Cup that they won? Well, the answer is probably in that question. And why did he get so much good form out of himself while playing for a Juventus team that were consistently challenging for titles? Well, the answer is probably in that question as well, that maybe for peak Paul Pogba, he needs to be playing in a team that is winning stuff, and he looks around him and looks at a dressing room that says to him that is worthy of him as a superstar that he thinks he is and that he fully believes he is.
He sniffs they have a team, was what Gary Neville said last night. His form's got, I've been critical of him over the last number of years, but his form over the last while has been really good. He sniffs that we have a team now, or that he has a team. I was like, well, you know, I mean, it's damning with faint praise a little bit. It's definitely questioning his professionalism, right?
Yeah, I guess it is, but so I guess the counter argument to all of this would be that we're having this conversation after he scored the winner away to Burnley. If you're questioning the professionalism of a footballer, and if you're saying, well, this guy likes it easy,
on
he
a
only
Tuesday
plays
night, Owen, don't forget it was a Tuesday night.
Exactly. It was not raining, was the only thing. If there had just been a little bit of drizzle, this would have been the perfect analogy for Paul Pogba's fans to actually hold up as a reason why he's one of the greatest players in the world. Like it does fly in the face of what we've just said about this idea that when the chips are up, that's when Paul Pogba gets the best out of himself. And I don't know, away to Burnley, he was really, really good. Now, I do think Burnley play in a way where a midfielder like that can almost play in front of the defence, if they're happy enough to allow midfielders to be on the ball, to have plenty of possession, as long as they're not making that final pass. Now, it wasn't just a goal. Paul Pogba did pick out a few passes in the final third last night, which were world-class. And you thought to yourself, well, this is exactly how you unlock a Burnley defence. And that requires perseverance. That requires a good mentality going into that game. So, I'm somewhere in the middle on this, or where what the answer to that question is. Which came first, the Pogba form or the United form?
The United form came first because he was in and out of the team. Remember, he wasn't getting picked. So the United form definitely came first. And it was like a harsh lesson that he was being taught by being dropped for some big games. And then his form came back, which was interesting. Well, sorry, his agent told the world he's leaving, and then his form came back.
Yeah.
You know, so there's a cocktail of influence here happening.
But then there's also the fact that Manchester United's form has been a little bit like a seesaw in recent weeks. They have played brilliant football over the last few months, but over the last few weeks, they have at times been a little bit suspect, where you think to yourself, they're getting the results, but the performance perhaps isn't actually matching it, which of course is a hallmark of title challengers. And what has actually happened then is that Paul Pogba's been the ace that's come out of the pack to actually bring them back to form when Fernandes has perhaps not had a great couple of weeks. That's the sort of thing that he's bringing to the team. So I don't know. I think this is hugely encouraging to have a player of his quality playing possibly the best football that he's ever played at this club. And I think it's something that gives him a real edge going into this title challenge. And
yeah, it's unbelievable. It's an unbelievable boon. Whatever cocktail of events have transpired to make Paul Pogba again is like, wow. I mean, look how good a footballer he is. This is why people bang on about him. This is why people are so upset when he doesn't do this week in, week out. It's because he can do this week in, week out. He can influence the biggest game of the season for Manchester United, because going top of the table was at stake, right? There will be bigger games where they play Liverpool. There will be more difficult games, where they're playing against Manchester City. But when the job needed to be done to get them top of the table, he stood up and played his best game of the season for them so far. And you know, this is why they're actually going to get their money back on him. He's going to go on a run now, you would expect, where he might score a free kick or two. They'll, you would think, do very well over the next 2 months. And after that, you know, it's game on. So, I don't know, I'd say Manchester United fans are absolutely purring this morning because that had banana skin all over it. And when the referee was about to send off the
Luke Shaw.
Before the Luke Shaw thing, right? Like, I wonder how much this is Manchester United at the top of the table. That's their chance gone if I send this guy off is in the referee's head. I do wonder if the referees are all in their own heads now about red cards and penalties. Robbie Brady was, whose name I couldn't remember for a second there. Robbie Brady was very, 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 very lucky that Luke Shaw was also very, very, very lucky. But I think that's a red card. Irrespective of whether or not you don't think the Burnley player got injured, it doesn't really matter. The studs go up, and once the studs go up, it's a leg breaker, and that, by the letter of law, should have been a red card. So, things are breaking their way.
Sorry to interrupt, but we're just getting hammered here in the chat by Tommy, our producer, telling us, don't forget how good Pogba was during the first couple of weeks of Solskjaer. 4 goals, 4 assists in the Premier League while always caretaker manager. We should put that out. It's nonsense, apparently, what we just said about Pogba. In fairness, he was in the team of the season, PFA team of the season a couple of years ago. Maybe that was better form. Maybe this isn't the same level of form that he showed there, but this is certainly the most excited I've been while watching Paul Pogba because he's playing for a team that can legitimately win the Premier League. When he had that vein of form for Manchester United, it looked like they might get a few upsets here and there in the Champions League and that they would snugly fit into second place in the Premier League, whereas now he's actually playing really good football for a team that can actually challenge for the title. I do think that the story ends with Manchester City winning the league. I think that there is an inevitability about that, unfortunately, that maybe it's a 1-1 draw on Sunday and Manchester City just continue their form.
But I'm not sure about that.
There is enough quality. Like, if we're talking about this player who was not surplus to requirements, but had he been sold on the 1st of January, Manchester United fans would have been like, okay, well, that's maybe a problem out of the club.
We'll drive him to the airport, was the sentiment.
Like, this is just a real bonus for them. Like, the cliche to pluck here would be like a new signing. But it does feel that this is just a new element that they have to their attack now. And like, this midfield has been such a problem for them all season. Like, the amount of screen time that Donny van de Beek is getting now while on the subs bench is diminishing with every passing week, which can only be a positive for Solskjaer. This midfield is starting to figure itself out.
I don't think it is. I actually think that's interesting because I thought the team selection last night was bizarre. I've got to say,
why?
Well, because Matic and Pogba and Bruno, not like their best player in recent weeks has been McTominay. So maybe he's being rested. There's a strong chance he's being rested for the game against Liverpool and he comes back. And also playing that attacking quartet. Maybe they're going to try that against Liverpool and there's something there that's going to make that look like it's a good idea, but I don't think it works at the moment. It would have been much more interesting for me to see Cavani and Rashford given the opportunity to play together and bet into something and keep McTominay in the team and keep his legs there because, I don't know, you're saying Matic should be in the first team?
Well, I thought that in the circumstances of going to Burnley and knowing that Nemanja Matic is going to have the ball in the centre circle with no pressure on him quite a bit, like, I think that's okay. That's a position that you're okay with Nemanja Matic being in. Like, you want him at the back defending set pieces in a game against Burnley. I don't know. I didn't think it was a disastrous selection in midfield whatsoever.
I think it's disastrous, but I don't think he's got it right. I don't think the balance in that team last night was right. Like, you know, they still struggled to beat a mediocre enough Burnley side.
I think the attack is interesting. I think Cavani starting him against Burnley makes a lot of sense. Marcus Rashford playing on the right was obviously something that was constantly criticised throughout the match. He sets up Pogba's goal. It's his ball that creates the winning goal and gets the 3 points for the team. Anthony Martial on the left is always kind of like an interesting one, whether or not he should be playing more central. Can he get himself and Cavani playing in the same team? I'm not sure if that's going to be the case. And then I wonder, is this all having a knock-on impact on what Bruno Fernandes is bringing to the team? Or is it actually just Fernandes himself who's just going through a slight lull at the moment? I'm not sure. Like, there's every chance that Fernandes comes back on Sunday and bangs in a couple of goals against Liverpool and he's back. Like, a lull is even a strong word to describe his form in recent weeks. It's just a couple of bad games. I think like they've got so many options at this point. I don't think the team selection last night was too bad.
All right, 7:40 this morning. We'd love to hear from you. 0879 180 180. How do you feel about the fact that Manchester United are officially back ahead of the game this weekend. Now, let's go to Phil. Phil, good morning to you. How are you?
How are you doing? How are you getting on, Ger?
I think we can say without fear of contradiction that at least for January, there's going to be a title race.
Absolutely, yeah. I think even before what happened last night or what happens on Sunday, there was a title race, because Liverpool have obviously dropped points in the last few weeks. They've kind of given the chasing pack an opportunity, and Manchester City are the team for me that look like they're going to take advantage. Obviously, in action tonight, you'd have fancied them to beat Brighton, and then all of a sudden they're just a point behind Liverpool, and they still have a game in hand as well. And yeah, they're not conceding goals, but you look at the top of that table, we've definitely got ourselves a title race. It'll be interesting to see. We've played 17 games, what the table will look like after 27 games. But yeah, Sunday's game is huge now. And you know what? Hasn't been a great game in terms of a spectacle the last few seasons, but I think the fact that there's no crowd there might actually make this a really good game, because obviously Liverpool could do with a win just to get back to winning ways, but also the fact that who they're playing. And it'll be interesting to see, because United have gone to Anfield the last few seasons and have been complete underdogs because they've been in bad form. You think back to last season. Actually, last season's defeat at Anfield is United's last Premier League defeat away from home. So that'll tell you how much United have improved. But now United are looking at this going, we have a chance of winning the league. So it'll be interesting to see how they approach. I would imagine they'd be quite happy just to go there and set up to avoid defeat and see what they can get in the break.